I'm definitely gonna regret this video, but it's fine. Here we go. I think about a year ago I made a video that I called, well, I didn't call it chapter 1, but the thumbnail was chapter 1, and it was meant to be the first in a series of writing videos, and that first video was about my kind of love-hate relationship with writing and how difficult I've kind of found writing, but how I've always been drawn to it because of how much I love reading. You can go watch that if you want, it's still there. But I wanted to make a follow-up. But I wanted to do a video reading my old writing, and when I say old writing, I mean like I think I was 10. This was like the first novel I had a crack at properly trying to write, and it has like really embarrassing like illustrations and like it's shit, right? But here's the motivation, because obviously like no one likes sharing their embarrassing past with people, especially on the internet, but I think it's helpful, and here's why. Writing is one of those things where I think where you can't actually see your progress or feel your progress. It's one of those things where you kind of open up the document or open up your notebook and you just write, and then progressively the more you go on, it just seems to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, and you don't actually feel like you're progressing. Whereas, I mean, I don't, that's just my own experience. Like, I don't ever look at my writing and say, oh yeah, like, look at me go, I've improved so much, because it's so subtle. Like, obviously, like, you read things that influence you and that goes into your subconscious, or you know, just the, yeah, you don't realize your kind of vocabulary getting bigger, or like the way you phrase things changing. It's a very subtle shift. And so it can be really easy to get demotivated because you're like, I'm going nowhere, I'm not getting any better. It's a really hard thing to judge and place yourself, if that makes sense. So, which is why I wanted to look at this, because I definitely don't write like this anymore. And I would encourage anyone that's been writing or trying to write for a while to just dig out some of your old stuff. It might be cringy and awful. Actually, it definitely will be cringy and it definitely will be awful. But think, like, thank God you're not writing like that anymore. If you look back at your old writing and you hate it, that's such a good thing, because it means that you can identify what you were doing wrong and why it's bad, and then you don't do that again, and that's just progress. Without further ado, because I've harped on about it enough, I'm gonna look back at my old writing and hopefully it will motivate me to do some new stuff that will be better than this. Chapter 1. Oh, I did these really cringy, like, I don't even know how you describe it, like these letter title things that you get in like fantasy novels. Oh my god. Rosalinda. Can I just say, Rosalinda, shit name. Sorry if that's anyone's actual name. Oh my god, I feel really bad now. Rosalinda was rich. This was only because her father was a very wealthy businessman. Well, not anymore. This is awful. He was a trader. He traded transatlantic goods with other wealthy businessmen around the globe. But he was running out of money. In fact, he had already run out of it. He was officially bankrupt. Oh my god. His two 18-year-old daughters, Rosalinda and Esmeralda. I think I liked long names because I was so upset that my name is Anna and it's the most basic name. It's 2 syllables, and so all of my characters were like wah 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 and wah, because that's secretly what I wanted to be called. Rosalinda and Esmeralda didn't know about his bankruptcy, and he wasn't going to risk them finding out. It would only worry them. But his daughters weren't stupid. They would obviously find out soon enough if he didn't get himself out of this very sticky situation. I think that's the technical literary term, a sticky situation. But he already had a plan, and Rosalinda and Esmeralda were a part of it. Okay, so observations on chapter 1. I did not know about commas. Now I do, so progress. Chapter 2 is boring. It is Rosalinda getting ready for a party with her maid Anita. Alright, here we go. Oh wait, no, that's not the end. Oh, what? I've laid this out very strangely. Okay, so chapter 2. Rosalinda's getting ready for a party, and then here we go. Rosalinda joined Esmeralda at the top of the stairs. There were gasps and gapes. as the two sisters stood together in all their finery. Rosalinda was wearing a red dress, which I've drawn a shit picture of. Rosalinda was wearing a red dress made from the best dressmakers in the world. The dress was a cascading waterfall of red silk until it opened out around her ankles, flowing gracefully. She had rubies encrusted in her shoes, twinkling in the light. Long ruby red earrings were dangling from Rosalinda's ears, completing her outfit. Esmeralda was wearing a deep, rich emerald, of course, obviously emerald, because Rosalinda's in rubies. Oh my god. Okay. Glittered with sequins. She also had a lime green shawl with white and emerald. This is too much description. White and emerald floral patterns embroidered. Her hair was straight and long. Great. Such detail. She had dragonfly hair clips. I always wanted dragonfly hair clips. Pinned into the dark brown depths of her shiny hair. Self-insert. Her shoes were light green silk. Blah, 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 blah. And enough about clothes. Could you tell that I wanted to be a fashion designer when I was a kid? Whew, okay. They shone at the top of the stairs. Beautiful jewels embedded in the night. They began to descend the great marble staircase. They fixed their eyes on a spot on the wall, straight in front of them, like they had always been taught. Did I just steal that from ballet? What? They glided down the staircase like two swans skimming over the calm, serene surface of the water. When they reached the bottom, only then did they look at the welcoming, beaming audience. They curtsied in turn, each receiving, spelled wrong, an array of applause. Then boring dad does a speech. Blah 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 blah. Rosalinda escapes. Oh wait, no, it was like a dinner. This is so boring. After dinner, the chatter seemed to get louder, as if everyone's voice boxes had been revitalized. Okay. Suddenly, it got too much for Rosalinda to bear. She ran out of her confined position in the corner. Oh, poor you, so privileged. Oh, wonderful thing. It was getting very claustrophobic, and she went out onto the balcony, braving the cold winter air. The wind blew her hair over her face, blurring her vision of the starry night sky. She placed her hand on the cold stone of the balcony, her red nail polish, of course fucking red nail polish, shining in the moonlight. She listened to the soft whispers of the wind whistling past her ear. It might sound crazy, but sometimes she felt as if she could understand the wind, like it was telling her stories, giving her advice, foreseeing her future. Then she shivered. So on the one hand, the wind is her friend, you know, telling her stories, and then she's like, this is so embarrassing. Even the cold night air seemed more inviting than the busy hustle and bustle, that's disgusting, of the dinner party. Rosalinda was enjoying the peace and quiet until she was interrupted. A man came out onto the balcony carrying a glass of wine in his hand. Very sophisticated. Ah, so this is your hideout. I've been looking for you all evening. My name is Bertus Barkington. Okay. Apparently 10-year-old me was a fan of alliteration. Will you give me the pleasure of your company? He asked in an unmistakable posh English accent. Of course, replied Rosalinda, trying to hide her mild disappointment. On this, can I just say, the dedication to do these dumb little squares for each, like, sentence, each new sentence. I mean, I had time back then. I wish that was still true. So, Rosalinda, how's your father's business going? Asked Bertus, trying to strike up a conversation. Oh, please call me Rosa. I think it's... Oh, why am I doing the same voice? I would be shit at audiobooks. Oh, please call me Rosa. I think it's going well, but I don't really know. If it's my father you're interested in, then it's him you need to ask, not me. Oh, she's sassy. She's sassy. She was fed up of everyone asking about her father, as if that was the only reason they wanted to speak to her. Anyway, she didn't take any interest whatsoever in her father's line of work. I like how vague that is, her father's line of work, just that I didn't have to think of what he actually did. Oh god. Sorry, Rosa, Berta shivered. Let me escort you inside. It's freezing and I hear that the party is really kicking off. Is it? Because this is dull as... I can't even think of the name of something dull. This is why I shouldn't be a writer. Blah blah, she goes back inside. Berta's introduced Rosa to his brother Humphrey. I literally just stole every posh name from anywhere. They found Humphrey talking to Esmeralda. Blah, blah, blah. Rosa got bored and walked off. Know how you feel. That's what I wish I could do right now. Rosa absolutely loathes these... can't even speak. Rosa absolutely loathed these dinner parties. What could be worse than a bunch of self-obsessed, posh, rich people in one movie? Oh no. This is really funny because I probably wrote this in year 7 and I went to quite a posh private school, but I was a scholarship kid, so I was surrounded by a bunch of posh, kind of snobby, self-obsessed rich people, and apparently I just was angry about it and wanted to get it out somewhere. What could be worse than a bunch of self-obsessed, posh, rich people in one room bragging and swaggering? Rosa didn't even want to think about the endless, pointless chatter. It would only make her angry. Legit. Same, hun. I've been to so many parties like that. I'm just like, this is pointless. Finally, after what felt like years, I was very dramatic back then, the party died down and the guests slowly but surely went back to their snobbish, rude selves and retreated to their posh mansions in the middle of the English countryside. As the guests drove away in their 1960s vintage cars, it's very specific, Rosa drew in a huge sigh of relief. That should be out. You don't draw in a sigh. What? One horrible dinner party finished and done, and many more to come. She groaned at this dreadful thought. When all the guests had gone, Rosa went back to her bedchamber and took off all her fancy clothes and jewellery. She didn't like getting dressed up in fancy clothes. It wasn't her. She preferred to sit up in her room with a good book and lose herself in its interesting and intertwining plot. This is so self-insert. I hate it. Cool. Rosa only liked getting dressed up so she could feel special, be like the beautiful fairy princesses with long flowing golden locks past their waist, like from the storybooks in her childhood. Aww. She hated dressing up for people. Then the dresses didn't feel right, but in her imagination she floated on a cloud so no worries could reach her. What? Okay. Where are we? Rosa got up onto her bed and delved under her duvet and retrieved her cozy water bottle with her name on it. Sick, I want one. She reached for her book on the bedside table, lying next to her glass of water. Stay hydrated. She was reading her all-time favourite book, The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. That's really funny because I got given The Secret Garden for one of my birthdays when I was a kid and I never read it. I'm such a fake fan. Rosa had read the book many times. Anna didn't. It had been her mother's book when she was a little girl. She had read it so often that she knew whole chapters by heart, yet it still brought warmth from her head to her toes. Maybe you should see someone about that. It doesn't sound healthy. The book made her feel as light as a feather, even when her heart was heavy with worry and sorrow. So dramatic. When Rosa could no longer keep her weary eyes open, she slid the bookmark in place and fell. So what was the whole point of that? God. And then she wakes up, blah, 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 blah. More description of outfits. This one is blue and polka dotty. As you can see here, it's badly drawn. Esmeralda was totally different from Rosa, even though they were extremely close sisters. Esmeralda absolutely loved all the designer dresses and all of the fancy jewellery that she was always receiving from all of her friends and family. She also loved being treated like royalty and getting pampered by beauticians and stylists. She was given all the perfect makeup, top of the range lipsticks, blushers, foundations, eyeliner, lip liner, eyeshadow, and everything. I knew more about makeup when I was 10 than I do now. That's... okay. Esmeralda was very much a girly girl, pretty as pink. That's her motto. Oof, this is... I will need to go into therapy after this, like 100%. What is going on? She's going down the stairs. Going down the stairs. Rosa was young. Someone had told her that image is everything, and she had been made to believe this all her life. Oh, boo-hoo, woe is me. She turned the corner and went down the stairs, passing portraits of her grandfathers, fathers, and ancestors, and so on. They all looked snobbish, nose pointed in the air, and a look of "I'm better than you" on their faces. Do I know any other word than snobbish? This is, like, getting ridiculous. The only painting Rosa liked was of her grandfather, Ronald. Aww. I totally nixed that from Harry Potter. In his portrait, he was smiling gently, a friendly and inviting smile, and a gleam in his eye. He had an adventurous and mischievous look about him. Rosa had always liked that painting. Sadly, Ronald had died before Rosa was born, but he stayed alive in Rosa's dreams. In her dreams, they climbed mountains, trekked up hills, waded through rivers, anything that normal people wouldn't do. What? Oh no. Sometimes, on a quiet Sunday night indoors in winter, when the sun was setting and orange light was cascading, again, cascading, learn some more words, through the tall windows of the conservatory and paint... Wait, what? Okay. Sometimes on a quiet Sunday night indoors in winter, when the sun was setting and orange light was cascading through the tall windows of the conservatory, and paint portraits of each other. There is something missing in that sentence. Ronald had always had an artistic touch all the time he was growing up, and he had passed it down to Rosa, who spent half the days painting. In winter, it was dark, snowy nights with flickering lampposts and children running about in hats, scarves, gloves, and Wellington boots. In the autumn, it was forest with bare trees and a forest floor. Too much forest. Covered in different shades of orange leaves which crackled under your feet. In spring, it was fluffy little bunnies playing in a field or a basket of dyed eggs. This is so, like, stock photo images, ready to be rolled down the hill on Easter Sunday. Summer was a most joyous season for painting. I think my posh school is rubbing off on me a little bit. A most joyous season for painting indeed. There were long beaches stretching out for miles and bright blue skies as far as the eye could see. Rosa missed Ronald dearly, so much she'd missed out on. She'd been told that he had a great sense of humour and was always making up rude jokes and funny songs. People had told her that Ronald and Rosa would have got on like a house on fire. If only he were alive. That was her dearest wish. If only. Oh, I gave up on the weird chapter sentence headings. I'm doing a video.
But you need to try and eat your sausage roll.
Now.
Fun too.
Okay. Okay, we're back for part 2. Sausage roll has been eaten. We're ready. Alright, I'm going to try and speed through this because this is, like, actually boring, and I rambled, which is a trait I haven't lost, unfortunately. So, let's have a look. Blah blah blah, sitting at the breakfast table, no one's talking, because I was lazy, don't want to write any dialogue, probably. When breakfast was finished, Father went into the living room, pen and newspaper in hand, sitting in the armchair debating which horse he would place a bet on this week. This worried Rosa. He had only recently begun betting on horses and gambling a lot of money on poker at rich people's get-together. really don't like rich people, it seems. Rosa was clever and knew that everything happened for a reason, and she presumed it was because her father wanted to gain money. Oh really? You don't say. She was clever though. She worked all of that out. He's gambling. He must want money. I'm a genius. This is awful. Why did I do this? This was a stupid idea. Rosa was quick to figure things out, and she never missed an opportunity to investigate something further. It gave her something to preoccupy herself with. Guys, we have the spiritual sequel to Sherlock Holmes right here. Rosa poked her head around the door of the living room. Around the door of the living room door. Well, that's a great sentence. Rosa poked her head around the door of the living room door. Her father was so engrossed in betting on a horse that he didn't notice Rosa slip past the door into his study. Stop saying door. Her father's study was a circular room. Okay. On one side there was a curved bookshelf, that's how it's spelled, running the length of the wall. Rosa's father bought and sold transatlantic goods with people across the wall. What does that mean? What goods are we talking about? On the opposite wall there was a map on there with pins marking the places where her father had either bought or sold something. There was a mini table underneath the map and a wall globe. In the center of the desk, documents. She starts rifling through. Key turns in the lock. Heart misses a beat. She froze rigid to the spot, her mind whirling and spinning, desperately trying to think of what excuse she would tell her father when he came in and found her knee-deep in his private papers. The door swung open and Rosa bolted into action and ducked under her father's desk. It was not her father's leather work shoes that she saw. Leather work shoes? Okay. It was not her father's leather work shoes that she saw from her position on the floor. It was the distinctive little boots of one of the housemaids. But which one? If it was Anita, she would mention their little encounter to father, and Rosa would be buried alive. But it wasn't Anita. As Rosa peered over the edge of the desk, she saw the gentle frame and smiley face of Tanya, the new maid from America. Well, if it isn't Miss Rosa, what are you doing here? She asked in her heavy Western accent. Western? I don't even know what that sounds like. Heavy Western accent. Alright, cool. I was just, can you keep a secret? I'm looking for a certain document, but she didn't even answer. She's like, can you keep a secret? Proceeds to tell secret. Wait for a response. That is just bad detectiving. No. I'm looking for a certain document, but I haven't told my father, and he might get the wrong idea if he saw me in here, explained Rosa. That's quite all right, is it? Your secret's safe with me. I'll go clean the billiard room. They have a billiard room. I definitely just modeled this whole house on Cluedo. Yeah, blah blah, blah 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 blah. She leaves. After another 10 minutes of searching, Rosa took a break. It was then that she noticed the drawer had been left open. Oh, it took her that long to notice the drawer had been left open. She found what she was looking for. A chart of her father's income for the past month. Oh dear. The red line kept getting lower and lower. This can't be a good sign. I see, guys, she's sharp. She knows things. Yeah. Rosa knew blah 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 blah. He'd worked on a plan. Blah blah blah. He was plotting. He didn't want her to find out. What was the plan? Rosa sighed and thought she should continue pondering about it in her room. Cool. When Rosa reached the door, she looked back at her father's study strewn with papers. How many trees and forests have been cut down because of all this paper, thought Rosa. Such a waste. God, I was so woke. Climate crisis. Rosa walked out and collided with someone. Oh shit, it's her dad. Well, the window in my room was jammed, so I was looking for one of the maids to help me. I think I'll go check in the billiard room, said Rosa, swiftly turning on her heel and leaving. Oh right, then, father. Oh, Rosa, later we're going to visit those two lovely lads, Humphrey and Bertus. That is not a name. And their country house for hunting and then a barbecue. I had no idea what posh people do. I was just like, hunting and barbecue, all the stuff that I would never do. And I think that Burtis has an eye for you. Give him a chance, Rosa. It could be a glorious marriage, he said, and disappeared into his office. Marriage? No way. What sort of twisted plan was this? And then it's chapter 5, which I didn't write, so we've reached the end. Thank God. I'm still alive, which is a surprise. I thought at some point for sure my head was just gonna crack open from the cringe and the embarrassment, and you know what, I'm not 100% sure this is gonna make it onto the internet, but we'll see. There we go. I hope me cringing and hating my past little self for writing such trash maybe inspires you to look at your own trash and then look at how far you've come. See, this has a roundabout, motivational, happy message. I say trying to convince myself that this was a good idea. So, yes, if you enjoyed this video, please comment, talk to me, cringe with me, and I will see you soon with another video. Goodbye.